Good afternoon and welcome back to another ironic introduction to another video. Today I'll be doing Red Guardian's abilities as fast as possible, as well as my first impressions. So without further ado, Red Guardian is a science champion whose awakened ability increases his max durability on his shield by 1 for every 40 sig levels, a max of 5. Well-timed blocks have a 100% chance to prevent durability loss. Trauma, slow, and vulnerability debuffs last 30% longer. Ablative Shield is passive. He cannot gain buffs. When a buff would trigger, he instead gets +1 durability. His shield starts at 9 of 10 or 9 of 15 when max sig. Blocking a hit removes 1 durability. Each durability stack increases perfect block by 5%, 50% at max, or 75% when max sig. While shield is intact, Red Guardian can block heavy/unblockable attacks and gains 1400 block proficiency. Blocking a heavy/unblockable attack reduces the shield durability to 0. However, all hits of the incoming attack can be blocked. When durability hits 0, the shield is fractured, entering an 8-second cooldown. The cooldown is 300% longer each time it triggers, and the shield repairs to 7 durability after the cooldown. On fracture, the opponent is stunned, debuff for 1.9 seconds, and applies a trauma debuff for 3 seconds. Trauma causes each hit to deal an additional 70% of the damage recently dealt as physical damage with a max stack of 3. Heavy attacks gain 15% attack rating for each unique debuff on the opponent, refreshes slow, vulnerability, and trauma debuffs on the opponent as well. The special 1 inflicts a non-stacking 12-second slow on activation that does not work when class disadvantage. While the opponent is slowed, Red Guardian has a 25% increased power rate. Special 2, if the Ablative Shield is intact on activation, you gain 32% increased attack for this special. If this attack hits, Ablative Shield is fractured, gaining 12% additional attack for each durability loss. Debuffs last 100% longer during this special. Special 3, if Ablative Shield is active, durability is set to max. If it's fractured, the cooldown ends immediately, inflicts a 1.9 second stun, and inflicts a non-stacking vulnerability debuff for 20 seconds. When attacking a vulnerable opponent, increase critical damage rating by 44% and decrease their block proficiency by 50%. And that is Red Guardian as fast as possible, well, with a few stutters. So with that said, I think as far as champions go, there's a lot to really like about this guy. People call him, the pseudo Captain America. I forget what country, Russia, obviously, right? But they're calling him the Russian Captain America, and I'm not gonna lie, his abilities seem pretty similar in the value you're gonna get out of the champion. You get essentially, right, utility on a champion in the form of slow, as well as really tanky champion, and that's kind of like one of Cap Infinity War's key factors, is his ability to perfect block, to parry, and take very little damage. So as long as this guy's shield is up, you have really high block proficiency just based off the plus 1400, not to mention the high chance to perfect block means you're going to have slightly longer stuns if you're running max parry. And if he has a high innate passive perfect block, then you're going to have a really solid perfect block chance, hitting for a lot of parries and 0 damage as a result, which is going to be really nice to have. He's got some damaging abilities in here as well. There are some things I don't like. I don't like that there's no innate duration timer lock on the fractured shield. I also don't like that it increases by 300% each time it's fractured. I think maybe from an attacker standpoint, using someone else against the Red Guardian, this is probably very nice. But from an attack usage, it just sucks. It goes from 8 seconds then to 24 seconds, and then it's a question of well, does it increase 300%? Is it 32 seconds, 832, and then is it an additional 24 seconds, so it's 56, or is it 832 and then 300% of 32 for a minute and a half? I'd like a little bit of clarity on the math there. I'd rather just honestly see math, first cooldown is 8, second cooldown is this number, etc, etc. But you can only ask for so much. I like his awakened ability, making it so that when you when you well-timed block, you have a 100% chance to prevent durability loss. That is super awesome. That means you can essentially parry forever, and it's going to make this guy really strong. The special 2 does a ton of damage. It's just hard for me to look at a special 2 and be man, I want to cast that, because if you use it, you immediately break your shield, and that's just less than ideal, because your shield is where all your tanking is coming from. So my guess is the rotation will probably be special 1 followed by special 3s, unless your special 2 is going to end the fight, because again, the special 2 is going to do a ton of damage based on the increased attack rating. As long as the stats are there, it's kind of tough to predict just based on the stats, because I'm not great at that. But yeah, it does appear like the special 2 is going to be a ton of damage if you do it right, you know, stacking up a whole bunch of durability. So, but I think just generally usage wise, you'll see like a special 1, special 3 rotation, and then throwing a special 2 to end fights here or there. But it also just kind of depends on his innate block proficiency as well, because like if he's still got a really good block proficiency and a relatively high passive perfect block chance, you might not need the shield to remain tanky, and it might be worth throwing that special 2 for the free damage at least once or twice. Also, I really like that he has this ability to block unblockable attacks. That does mean he's going to be kind of like anti-Corvus Glaive, anti-Aegon once Aegon is ramped up, so I wouldn't be surprised if we ever see some like really long stretching content like the quote-unquote next Labyrinth of Legends or Abyss of Legends or etc. content. I would not be surprised to see this guy on a path to be kind of like an Aegon stopper. That would be very much so expected, because, you know, you're going to get stunned and then totally burned there. Additionally, I think that having the stun and being able to apply that is really, really nice. I just kind of wonder how the interaction is going to work on like longer heavy attacks. Like, is the stun going to trigger once the heavy attack is over, or will it stun them immediately? Because if it stuns them immediately, it kind of confuses me on like the however all hits of the incoming attack can be blocked, for if like they're throwing an unblockable special, right? And like, does this work against unblockable specials? Because if it does, like, special animations continue even if the opponent is stunned. So does the stun trigger while they're throwing their special, and then like the timer might potentially end if they have like a really long special, or does it trigger after the special ends? It's just kind of one of those things we can only figure out by practice. Yeah, overall pretty solid. I would have liked to see the perfect block chance go all the way up to 100%. Like, if you could have like a max durability of 20, so if you were, you know, theoretically to dex, you know, an additional 11 times in a fight, and then you had a max durability of 20, giving you a 100% perfect block, kind of similar to Sunspot, that would have been really, really nice, but that also might be too powerful. And it also kind of depends, like maybe he has passive perfect block of like 28%, in which case you already have that 100% perfect block chance. It just kind of depends on the activation there. But overall, I think this guy has a lot of really, really strong potential. And I'm really interested to see it, because just having that insane high block proficiency and perfect block chance means he's gonna be a tank. And as long as the damage numbers and the slow is there, it's going to be really nice. I think the other thing I really want to point out is like the special 1 is shield charge. I'm under the impression this is going to be a quick shield attack, because they say on activation, I would like to have seen like the slow debuff be paused during the duration of the special attack, just because I don't like it when debuffs like this trigger like during the activation. You lose a lot. It's kind of like a Nihilus, right? You get those Furies during the special 2, which is nice. It boosts the damage, but like the whole duration of the special 2, the Furies are timing out, right? You're just kind of losing a lot there. But as long as this is a short animation and a 12-second slow, that does mean you can immediately follow up with like some parries into a heavy in order to immediately refresh the slow and keep it up going, you know, throughout the entire fight. And as long as that's reasonable, I think that's going to be good. Stun immunes might be a bit of a problem for this guy depending on his heavy range, as we recognize like Cap Infinity War doesn't have the world's largest range on his heavy. Like, he can on the second hit, but the first hit's like pretty mid-range, I'd say. So I would like to see this guy have a long, heavy reach as well. Overall, those are my thoughts on Red Guardian. I'm pretty excited. I think he's probably gonna be a low god tier, if not a high god tier champion, like full-on god tier champion, as long as the damage is there. So that said, hopefully you all appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.